Peace. Hope everybody's having a wonderful afternoon. And make sure my audio is working. It's certainly been a blazer here in the East Coast, New York City. There goes this penco. This dude's what Puerto Ricans in New York City would call a penco, cornball. But no, I'm just making sure my audio is working. Give me 1 second. Yeah, there we go. There we go. So I hope everybody's doing well. As I am Sir Foul Player of Brooklyn. For those of you who are just finding my channel recently, I am Brooklyn through and through, New York City, 100%. Even though I no longer live there, I live a stone's throw from New York City now. My mom still lives in Brooklyn though, in the same street that I grew up on. And the biggest story in New York City right now is the mayoral race that's going to be upcoming here soon. And the fact that this Democrat candidate, Zohran, is kind of like taking over the nation by storm, in a sense, where nobody's ever really heard of him. And then he kind of made this late push to become a mayoral candidate. And all of a sudden I see his name everywhere. Like, I watch national news, regular like CNN, ABC, NBC, and most of the liberal networks always make a mention of this mayoral race right now and sort of like show the Zohran guy, the guy who's running now and who's like the darling of the liberal media. They always show him in a cool looking light. And I notice when this happens with certain candidates, how they try to shed them in a certain light, especially if they're like unknowns, and this guy fits the bill. Similar to Obama. Like, I remember hearing of Obama even before he ran for president, and it was kind of like a different look, because Obama was like a younger black dude, somebody who I had never seen, and in that case, I had really never heard of Obama. And this is probably early 2000s, real early 2000s too. And they were just showing him giving his opinion on certain things. And it was sort of vanilla, the opinions. Like, they was saying nothing of real sustenance. But the fact that at that time, we didn't have a lot of young black politicians, especially being pushed by establishment media in the early 2000s, to see Obama, who I had never heard of, so his name essentially was untarnished. And he's like, a decent looking dude. He seemed like a young black dude, similar to like what I've seen all over New York City, a lot of which are my friends. So it's like, wow, like, if the establishment media is presenting this guy as if he's the business, like they were with Obama, then there must be some truth to what he's saying, or he must be important. And I see a lot of the same stuff in how they're pushing the Zohran guy, the Zohran, whatever. Yet, still, I mean, like, the fact that he just beat Andrew Cuomo in the Democratic candidate election, whatever they call it, or the Democratic primary, it's a big feat in itself. Just maybe 2 weeks ago, I was watching one of the NBC news shows. I forget the guy's name. It's some big-headed dude that's always giving bad takes, and his wife is the co-host on the show. It's one of the bigger news shows on NBC. I don't care to remember the name. That's good. Can you play a song? Nah, I don't play songs here. Big Meech, peace to you too. King KJ, peace to you. But thank you for coming. But when maybe like 2 weeks ago, I was seeing like a national news show, and they were mentioning the fact that Trump was talking bad about Andrew Cuomo, or that Trump was mentioning that the Department of Justice should investigate Andrew Cuomo. Then the fact that people receive Trump so negatively is basically crowning Andrew Cuomo to win the Democratic candidate for New York City. This is probably like 2 weeks ago. And again, this is like a national news show saying this. And I think he was saying that he lived in New York City. And his assumption was that Andrew Cuomo was going to be the guy that wins. I think most New Yorkers feel that way, that it was going to be Andrew Cuomo against Eric Adams. And Eric Adams isn't the most popular received candidate in New York City, neither, to be clear. But Andrew Cuomo is a big figure in the liberal establishment. I mean, he was the governor of the state of New York. They came at him, the same liberal establishment, for some reason, came at Andrew Cuomo and took him from his positioning. Because let's be frank, I mean, like what Andrew Cuomo was even accused of, every liberal politician, I mean, under the sun, most politicians do tons worse than that. And I'm no fan of Andrew Cuomo. Andrew Cuomo's work during COVID was a national disgrace, and he should be investigated for that. He should still have Department of Justice cases against him for his handling of COVID in New York. But besides that, Andrew Cuomo was still a powerhouse liberal politician. In 2020, Andrew Cuomo was being mentioned in the national stage as being like the governor of America, because he, like, during lockdown they kept showing pictures of him and giving like advice to stay home, like, and it's like with the New York accent. So a bunch of people who were gonna stay home anyway because they're low lives, were considering Andrew Cuomo a heartthrob hero, in 2020. And when it came for him running for mayor, it was almost like a shoo-in that he would get the nomination for the Democrats, because he had a lot of clout, a lot of money behind him. I mean, his commercials outdid anybody in New York City up until maybe like a month ago. Like a month ago, they started pumping these Zohran commercials all the time. I mean, Zohran like looking like an Indian guy, Zohran walking in Queens, Zohran walking in Jamaica, Zohran like this, Zohran that, news, Zohran. Like, that's all that was happening in New York like a month ago. But I mean, like up until a month ago. But Andrew Cuomo was the front runner. And I honestly think that Andrew Cuomo's being investigated was the reason as to why they started putting money behind Zohran. The thing, like, I mean, and again, the national news, the NBC national news, was pretty much indicating that Trump's Department of Justice investigating Cuomo was in turn crowning Cuomo as the governor of New York, because Trump is not well received in New York, according to I think his name is Chuck Scarborough. No, it's not Scarborough. He used to be a congressman, though, the person I'm speaking about. But to now, all of a sudden, for some, and it's not like Cuomo went down with any sort of a fight. I mean, like, Cuomo wasn't mentioning like who the hell is funding this Zohran guy all of a sudden, and it seemed like it was a close race up until even a couple days ago, honestly. I mean, that clown Lander, like, that got arrested at a ICE courtroom facility last week in New York City, that was not even 2 weeks ago. He was still like third place. And then he came out and supported Zohran in, like, right after he got arrested for trying to do a fake protest publicity stunt at that ICE facility. But this guy Zohran is bad news. I mean, and I say he's bad news because the people that fund him are likely looking for the worst intentions of New York. New York City, if you guys don't know, is a powder keg, like right now. New York City I mean, maybe not outwardly. People don't even have time to talk politics. But if you get down and talk to any man in New York City, I mean, like real men, honestly, not emotional ones, they either are already for Trump or with a little bit of outright conversation and like where they had to put certain things and oralize them and say them out loud, they change their minds to being Trump people or being anti-immigration, being anti-rainbow, being anti whatever they consider liberal, which they see of a lot of in New York. Nobody in New York City right now is happy. Um, but the way they campaign this guy, like his commercials, they make it seem as if he's like in some sort of like bazaar in a Arabic country or something while being in New York, and sometimes even dressed in that uniform. Like early on, like a couple weeks ago, they were painting him kind of like more immigrant looking. Recently, they've been putting him like in brown suits and like with these heroic like trying to make him like handsome for the liberal women to, I don't know. And like again, a lot of the flair that I see running behind them, or a lot of the people who are making the most noise, oh, I would like to see him win. Like, why? It's different. It's mostly liberal women of New York City. Women of New York City. Again, women of liberal women are the dumbest creatures on earth right now. White liberal women are the most annoying, but liberal women altogether are very easily swayed. They're stupid. They could get run by their emotions really easily. And if this guy is not an outright conservative and the media is pumping money behind them and they make him look decent, he's pretty much it pretty much shows like how with just dollars and the media machine push that this guy could propel himself to become potentially the candidate for the mayor of New York. I mean, dangerous as that is. Right now, too, the population of New York City, according to data that I read, was like 37% of New Yorkers that live here now were not born in America. So you take that into effect. And also, so in New York City's always had a high immigration rate. And even when I was young, I mean, like, but not no 37%, to be clear. But putting that aside, that 37%, a lot of it is of real newly recent arrival New Yorkers that are not only being, at one point they were given money to live, they were given hotels. They're not real privy to how America works. Now, the Democrats doing what they do, I mean, as in terms of like how elections play out, are they going to try to weaponize some of this new community to vote for the potential of New York City welfare for immigration or for immigrants, or the potential to get it back? Because I mean, if you guys don't know, Eric Adams has cut off New York City funded programs that were giving sustenance and living to a lot of these newly arrived migrants. Not all completely, they're still doing a lot of shuffling, but Eric Adams is pretty much the prodigal son of the liberal establishment. He's now independent, so he has no other chips to play but to, be a little bit anti-liberal at this late stage of the game. I mean, if you guys don't know, he was raided by the federal authorities. He was actually en route to meet with Biden at the White House, and while he was on the plane, I believe that they raided his assistant's office. That's Eric Adams. In addition to the fact that everybody in the Eric Adams cabinet was raided. They were, I mean, all of them were investigated. All these people are pretty much New York City refugee status. when they were running New York City not even 2 years ago. Eric Adams used to call himself the Brooklyn of Biden. I mean, the Biden of Brooklyn. And now he's a political refugee running against a person who's only been in New York City or in the country for 6 years. I think he was living in Uganda, and his parents are Indians. I mean, from what I read, that like wealthy parents. I think one of them has a job for Disney. His mother has a job for Disney. Lived in Uganda. I mean, it sounds like a what do they call that? A Manchurian candidate for real. I mean, like nobody has any sort of history as to where this guy comes from. And if you look at his quotes from 2020, I mean, it's basically a bunch of bullshit, like free buses, which sounds great, but free buses is basically allow anybody onto the buses. And if you allow anybody onto the buses without paying, I mean, some of those people, they're little class, if to put it frankly, or troublemakers, or deranged, which you have many of in New York. And that's with the fare system in place. But you know, it's a lot of tax the rich, which is basically going to drive away business in New York. New York City right now has no businesses standing besides these little pop-up type businesses for the most part that sell stolen shit. And you have this in Manhattan, like these businesses that are run by like some sort of immigrant like racket of stolen goods, like bizarre type business that happens in New York right now. I mean, it'd pretty much be greenlighting that in perpetuity, where right now all the retail is leaving New York. I mean, and if anybody from New York wants to come on here and talk shit against that, I mean, I can name streets that are in a block from City Hall that have no retail on them for a mile, and we'll go on you could go Broadway from City Hall all the way to Canal Street. So if you go from Broadway, which is the main thoroughfare, everybody knows Broadway, even if you're not from New York. And if you ride from Canal Street to City Hall, there's pretty much no retail that you would recognize. And most of those retail spots are empty and vacated. It's pretty much a desert that used to be thriving not even 5 years ago, 10 years ago. You couldn't find a place to put a business in, and now there's zero business. And again, I mean, like, you know, do I expect those things to remain empty? No. But, well, I do expect them to remain empty for the time being. But in a liberal New York, I mean, I could see those places with like some sort of outpatient type shit or stuff to help. I don't know, shelters. I mean, it's gonna be a disaster, and it's pretty much gonna give an indication that we're still in essence, a sanctuary city. I mean, Zohran, or whatever his name is. I hope I'm not pronouncing it right. But again, I mean, I'm not mispronouncing it purposely. It's that the dude was pretty much a political nobody. He didn't register to me, and I'm pretty in tune with politics. Up until like they really started pumping him like a month ago. And I mean, I'm actually gonna do a live with another streamer next week. And he's from California, and he was asking me about this Zohran fella as well. And I really, New York City politics normally bores me. I mean, like, besides like as far as these political races go, but it's all anybody wants to talk about. And this other streamer, okay, if you guys could subscribe to According to Sam, the number 2 Sam here on YouTube, fantastic channel. But he and I were talking on the phone, and he was asking me about the Zohran guy, and he's based in California. I mean, so it just shows you that the amount of media push that's being registered toward this dude. and he's a total phony too. I mean, he's worse than an AOC, and ironically enough, he's actually got endorsed by AOC, but they have him talking with a deep Indian accent in some cases. He was a rapper in a past iteration, which I know, like the liberal defenders, oh, at least he's with it. Yeah, sure. But these kind of get pushed on us types that the liberals usually pump on us. I mean, like an Obama. Again, I mean, like, I'm coming to, now that I'm a little older, Obama may have been the worst president that I've lived under. In fact, I'll stamp that right now. I'm a true economist or I care about the economy, and Obama, in addition to screwing the economy, was also a terrible president, the worst president that I have lived through. But for my city, I mean, Obama had a lot of checks and balances utilized against him in a sense, as far it would, but Obama pretty much is what normalized, as far as, especially with the minority community, the push with rainbowism, which while it was happening, I didn't give one shit. I didn't see it as any sort of encroachment of any variety, But now that we've 20 years has passed, I see how much damage that's done in the communities that I'm a part of, the so-called minority communities, and a lot of that really put a dent in our community. We've so-called minority, to put it plainly, so-called minority communities didn't get better one iota from the time of Obama till today, to put it plainly. If anybody wants to contend that notion, they could. And I've debated this many times with my friends in person. Yes, even so-called black ones. And the only thing that they could say of any defense is like some BS, basically. Semantics. Oh, well, my son got to see a black man in the office who was a black family man. Like, all right. And what else? You know what I'm saying? Like, but I digress, though. But it's just the fact that these candidates that come out of nowhere with a lot of push, that look cool, that look hip, that look different, that the fact that they're different is their selling point, scares me. And again, not everybody lives in New York, so New York could fail, and it could be a joke to somebody from that's listening to me right now from around the world, or from some other state outside of New York, or some other city outside of New York City. But my mom lives in New York City. Most of the people I love live in New York City still. I live 10 minutes from New York City. The immigration wave that has entered New York City in the past 5 years has been spilling into the area which I live, which is right outside of New York City, in the last 5 years. So no, I mean, like, and needless to say, I mean, it's driven property values up in the suburbs. I mean, so for my personal interest, I do better with more migrants in New York City. I'm not going to front on you one iota. But do I want to see more migrants in New York City? Absolutely not. It's basically the making New York City into Paris. In Paris, they'll basically frown on you if you wrinkle your nose at recognizing that Paris looks like shit because of all the migrants that they allowed into Paris. In the UK, it's the same shit. Like, if you recognize that the fact that they let a bunch of migrants into the UK, I mean, people look at you like you're crazy. Like, so you basically get used to just living in it. And New York City, it's a city that it's already in a sense like that, like where you see outlandish shit in New York and you just tend to just keep moving about your business. But the migrant wave that has entered New York City, I mean, they don't they're not. I mean, they're not used to the ways of America. I mean, here in my neighborhood, like or in the neighborhood next to mine, a crossing guard just got hit and run, and they actually found the dude, and immigrant, no insurance, and no like, and he just had a car. Probably didn't have a license either, or he probably got a license through some program, and in my neighborhood in Sunset Park, Brooklyn, just last night, and you guys could look this up, so you don't think I'm bullshitting you. On 63rd Street and 3rd Avenue in Sunset Park, Brooklyn, two migrants on a motorbike, which all these migrants in New York City are hogging up every lane of traffic with motorbikes, not registered. Sometimes it's like a fat Southern American dude with some fucking whale in the back. Sometimes it's three of them on one of those electric bikes. And the electric bikes aren't slow. They go like 35, let's say. And the speed limit in New York City is 25. So if you fucking burp in your car in New York City, you'll get a ticket. But you could eat every light, not have a helmet with one of those motorbikes, and it's okay. In New York City, if you look migranted out and you have a vehicle, a lot of times cops won't even stop you because they know what it is. They know that nothing's gonna come of that arrest. Like if he's an asylum seeker on paper, supposedly, they're just gonna cut him loose and take the vehicle at most. But it's pretty much, you gotta get used to it. You gotta get used to the fact that now there's motorbikes all over New York City. You gotta get used to the fact that I'm sorry. Let me tell you about the motorbike accident in Sunset Park, Brooklyn, my neighborhood. Again, I'm not for any one of these liberal defenders that come on here. You could speak on whatever neck of the woods in which you live in, but Brooklyn, Sunset Park, it's my neighborhood. So I have expertise on New York City. I have expertise in actually getting outdoors and living a regular existence outside of the internet as well. But on 63rd Street and 3rd Avenue in Sunset Park, Brooklyn, again, my neighborhood. If you look at the thumbnail, I'm actually right near that area in that picture. But a 22-year-old and a 21-year-old were on a motorbike at 4:41 in the morning, and a 29-year-old ran into him with a vehicle. One of the two people on the motorbike died. I think the one that was 22 years old. And I don't know what happened to the other one. And it's not like I'm like saddened by the fact that the dude got hit, because God knows what he was doing out in the Brooklyn streets with another dude on a motorbike at 4:41 in the morning. And to be clear, most of the crime that's done in Sunset Park right now is done from motorbikes on vulnerable women and little kids by dudes that ride in tandem like that. So so sorry if I'm not shedding any tears. But again, it's New York City has turned a blind eye to what it wasn't acceptable 10 years ago, and they're only doing that to welcome a new New Yorker in, and that new New Yorker is an unvetted migrant that just got here 4 years ago, and it's mostly dudes. You don't see women walking around New York either. The only places you'll see women walking around New York in tourist areas, and it's gullible white women who are risking themselves every step they take. But let them. I don't give a shit. Besides that, my neighborhood was a fucking walkway for women. We have a shopping strip that's still there. I'm from Sunset Park, Brooklyn, Vikas Power. I hope I'm saying your name right. I'm from Sunset Park, Brooklyn, and I lived one block from the main shopping strip of Sunset Park, Brooklyn. You can walk from 5th Avenue on 44th Street in Sunset Park, Brooklyn, to 61st Street and 5th Avenue in Sunset Park, Brooklyn. And it was a nice shopping area, all sorts of like women, people dressed nice. I mean, dressed nice by hood standards back then, with regular American gym clothes. I mean, Nikes, whatever, streetwear. I mean, now women don't even go out scantily dressed because some migrant asshole who's not who sees a girl with like shorts on thinks that it's okay to grab their ass, and that's a migrant asshole that could be in his 30s that does that to girls that are 15, 13. They think that because our women dress scantily, that's basically a signal that those women are looking a bone behind the car or some shit. Or, I mean, a lot of the people that were allowed into this country are certified rapists. What do you do for a living? Exist, honestly, survive, irrespectively. And how expensive is New York? Very, very, very expensive. To put it like, if I like the average rent, you're looking around 3 G's, let's say, like for New York. Grabbing ass is offensive, man. Yeah, it is. And it's happened to people I know. Vic is power. It's actually happened to a girl I know. I actually had me and my brother had to chase somebody down, immigrant dude, and we didn't catch him. This was before the migrant wave, so it's not like like it's and my neighborhood Sunset Park has had a few migrant waves since I've been there. Like we had the Chinese wave, which like was a real wave. We sort of had some Dominicans that came in, a lot of which are still my friends. And then we had the recent um, full force Biden border raid that came from migrants. But in my neighborhood, like a 2 bedroom apartment, you're probably talking like 2,700 to start, and it's not nice. It's a piece of shit. But most people in New York City and in my neighborhood have roommates, grown men that have to live like in one room or even split a room with another dude in an apartment with another family sometimes. And the thing is too that standard of living that we didn't like when I was young, like there were people that would work on a bread truck that had like that made like $400, $500 a week, and that had their own apartment, single men. Now, I mean, if you work on a bread truck, I mean, it's gonna take four of you to own like to rent an apartment. It basically these migrant waves as it pertains to New York City, um, has changed the standard of living through the years to where it was common for a regular Latin family like the one I came from to have an apartment. It's now very common to see three Latin families in one 2 bedroom apartment. And I'm not bullshitting about that one iota. And I've been in apartments that have two or three families in one in a 2 bedroom. A friend of mine is splitting with his family 1 bedroom. I'm not gonna put his shit out there either. How can someone grab ass? It's bullshit, to be honest. Aren't they afraid of police? No. The thing is that a lot of the migrants that entered into America during the Biden administration were giving blanket amnesty, and they were all asylum seekers, considered asylum seekers. So a lot of times they would do crimes and they would be cut loose like that same day. But even outside of that, though, like in America, it's not for somebody that grows up in America. They're not gonna just grab some woman's ass like unless they're like got like issues. They're a pervert, like unwarranted, unasked. But in some other country, I mean, like a lot of these dudes that came into New York, like the first migrant wave that I lived under, like the second one was like the Mexican migrant wave. Like a lot of the migrants that came up from Mexico and probably talking like mid 90s in New York City, it was mostly dudes. And again, like they were the first ones to live under like the shittier standard of living, i.e. like roommates. So if you're a regular looking Mexican dude in New York City, you're working as like a dishwasher or some shitty ass job, and you can't like bring a girl home because you have roommates. So and on top of that too, everybody knows that you're like of a new arrival group of people that just entered New York City, and it's mostly dudes, and they all have like a bad rep for like drinking. Um, People don't like thought they were ugly a lot of times. It wasn't like a lot of chicks were like, oh God, I'm like, oh, like what kind of men are you into? Oh, I'm into Mexican dudes. Like I don't see that much now in New York City. I'm not shitting on my Mexican brothers, man. I'm just saying for what it is. But in the '90s, that wasn't happening. And I got Mexican people from Sunset Park that I love. Shout out to Felix, Oscar, my brother, my brother Doggy. But if you're listening to this, no shitting on y'all, but no girls were like on some, oh, I'm into Mexican dudes. It's like I don't see many women nowadays like, oh, I'm into like Indian dudes either, like fucking on. But Mexican dudes in New York City had a worse rep because they were in the hoods, like mostly in the ghetto. They drank a lot. It was mostly dudes, and a lot of them, since they weren't really getting ass like that, they would just sometimes take it there. Like they would grab an ass here and there, or they would go to like these shitty ass titty bars, and after that titty bar stopped accepting them, they would have like these places where they would like pay women to dance with them, like $2 a dance. They still have that shit. Like all over my neighborhood, they have that stuff. Like these dance for $2 places. Um, Let me see. How much is good enough in New York for four members, family with two kids? A lot, man. You need. I mean, it's just there's really no good answer for that because you got to get used to living indoors. I mean, it's not like you're gonna go to live in New York City with the way things are right now and go take your family to a park. Like if you lived in Brooklyn, like if you live in my neighborhood, which we have one of the best parks in New York City. Sunset Park has the actual Sunset Park is one of the flyest parks in New York. 61 acres. I'm being biased. It has a view of the skyline, but you can't go into that park. That park was great, was safe even at 3 in the morning when I was young. You could walk in there like at 8 o'clock and maybe bump into like one or two people at night. Now, I mean, like, you'll be lucky to not bump into 200 people at like 11 o'clock at night, and dudes laid out on the floor, drunk, rats. You see weddings inside the park. The Mexican dudes having weddings inside the park, next to like dudes laid out. It's crazy. So I mean, like what I want to say is that if you moved into New York, I mean, it's basically you're moving into New York just to show the world that you could endure having to pay all the rent and staying indoors because everything outside, restaurants cost a lot. Everything costs a lot. The park is a mess. I've seen some videos, yeah, definitely. But with the electing of this Zohran guy, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if this guy wins the candidacy of New York City, and you'll have liberal morons trying to pump him as the potential president of America. Especially if we have another pandemic and he should survive that. I mean, like, with the amount of death numbers that Cuomo had, which they were commending him for. I mean, Cuomo was the doctor of death when he was the governor of New York City, while he with his management of COVID. I mean, if this Zohran guy gets another pandemic and they make him the liberal darling of the media because he happened to come out of another pandemic while opposing Trump or something, I mean, I could imagine the liberals pumping him as a candidate for presidency, but that's besides the point. But as far as tactics go, with the mayoral candidacy or run that's going to happen, which is going to be Eric Adams versus this Zohran guy. I don't like people are saying that Cuomo is going to run as an independent. That's not going to happen. But with the race being Eric Adams versus Zohran. Eric Adams is already starting a press tour in which he's taking shots at Zohran, saying that he doesn't have experience. That's not the tactic Eric Adams should go to. Eric Adams should go to the tactic, a straight up MAGA. MAGA Eric Adams. If you have any sort of a semblance in that coconut brain of yours, in that ecstasy and cocaine ridden brain of yours, Eric Adams, I have no reason to vote for you or vouch for you, but I don't want Zohran to take over and his liberal lunacy to take over New York City. Not one iota. But if Eric Adams has any semblance of a political plan leading into this mayoral election, he should be calling Trump right now and telling him, what could I do? Help me clean up New York City by any means possible. Help remove every NGO out of New York City that has enabled this migrant wave. If you want to take any migrant you want, I mean, I'll open Floyd Bennett Field for you for that purpose. I'll open up Rikers for you. Like, you know, you tell me what we need to do. And maybe even put focus on the shining a light as to how elections work. If it's going to be unvetted immigration election. I mean, he may be cooked either way. I mean, if there's anywhere where the elections are funky that I know of, it's New York City. And I'll just keep it at that. I don't want to put statements out there. But nevertheless, I mean, Trump had put a tweet out earlier today, or a Truth Social post, shitting on this Zohran guy and calling him a liberal, or putting him out there, showing his distaste for the Zohran. But there's nobody who has a bigger megaphone than Trump, and Eric Adams would be very wise to be on the phone with Trump like today and ask him if he could don that red cap on his coconut brain, on his coconut skull, and become a New York City MAGA candidate. I mean, and put that into effect immediately. Put a cooperation with ICE into effect in a larger scale than what he has going on right now. Ask Trump and the Trump White House, how could we collaborate to remove migrants from New York City leading into this election? And trust me, most minorities in New York City do not like this new wave of migrants that have entered New York City in the past 4 years. They want them out. You could talk to a migrant that's been in New York for 6 years, and they'll shit on migrants that have arrived in New York City in the last 3 years. More so than anybody, the Venezuelans. Like, the Venezuelan migrants that have been here longer than 5 years cannot stand Venezuelans and any other migrant that got here in the last 3 years, because they know that they're making it hot for every other migrant. There's actually good people that do want to work, but a lot of the newly arrived migrants that have entered New York City have entered knowing that liberals look at them as the new lowest class in America. They forgot about black people and Latins that were already in America. And now the new class of the lowest tier that the liberal left in New York City wants to lionize and idolize are the newly arrived migrant class that have entered through Biden's allowed border invasion in the last 3 or 4 years. You know, they could care less about other minorities, unless it comes to elections, of course. Or they need useful idiots to be the loudmouths in the street. Besides that, I mean, if you want more migrants, I mean, and again, I mean, like, I don't want to put it as solely, oh, well, that's what New York votes for. I don't think elections in this country are on the up and up, or even, if you will, fair. Again, I mean, I covered on this channel 2 weeks ago, Kash Patel has referred a case to Chuck Grassley and Congress regarding that very subject, in which foreign nationals were allowed to vote in the presidential election of 2020. It's not me just saying it. I mean, it's the director of the FBI. But having said that, I don't think that most New Yorkers are voting for this guy in droves or voting for liberal policies in droves. We got, and again, a lot of so-called minorities, we vote on emotion. Like we vote like the same way that women do, and women like a lot of times, a lot of so-called minorities' politics are similar to women's politics, emotional, and we get suckered into voting for stupid people. But a lot of times, if you talk to and you get the emotion out of it, most of us don't want mass migration. I mean, they won't say that so much now at times because they'll think that it gives some Trump some sort of credit by admitting that they don't like unvetted migration entering to America. But it's really convoluted. I mean, I'm not gonna take a celebratory lap and shit on New Yorkers in essence, because again, a lot of the money that's pumping these candidates too, it's white liberals, and the white liberals of New York, they live in glass towers. They go away for the summer to Nantucket. I mean, and they don't really have to deal with the so-called minorities ever. They don't really have, like, I mean, they could eat in every night, smell their own shit with other yuppies, be closeted racist with their wives or their husbands at home, and enact shitty ass policies in order to rid themselves of some sort of fake guilt that they have for being rich. But not all of the real New Yorkers, a lot of us who are real immigrants or minorities, want this shit. We don't really know what we're signing up for at times. And again, I was a once more liberal than the liberals were. I mean, 15 years ago, before the liberals started adopting lunatic policies. I was a liberal myself, a liberal New Yorker of Puerto Rico, like from of Puerto Rican descendancy. But growing up has made me pivot away from these blanket positions as so-called minorities or as so-called people that vote for insane liberals over and over and over. A lot of times we'll just make blanketed statements and throw them out in the air, and I mean, we'll just never deviate, or we're too busy to like really look at things from another perspective, or we'll get into arguments and then we'll make that into our position in perpetuity. Trust me, I was the same way, believe me. But everybody got to grow up. I mean, these are dangerous times. Hey, Vika's Power, thank you for coming onto my channel, man. Like, because you've been commenting, and that's what I like the most, my peoples. I like to interact and conversate. Even though I lose my train of thought, trust me, but I'd rather be feel like I'm talking to people than talking to bots or nobody. The park is a mess now. I've seen some videos. What do you think about Indians? Are Indians making trouble in the U.S. Like Mexicans? And it's not to say that all Mexicans are making trouble neither. I mean, like, I was just talking more so in the sense of my neighborhood, Sunset Park, when living through the first Mexican wave in the early 90s, mid 90s. And again, a lot of I love a lot of Mexican dudes like that are my family pretty much. Oh, Danny and Gato, I forgot to mention two of my other brothers too. My one of my people's Gato actually got deported in the 90s too. I mean, oh no, under the Obama administration. Look at that. And for nothing too, for his wife getting welfare for his kid, like their kids, while he was married. My man Gato got deported. You know, and that was under the Obama administration. And this dude and his sons are still here in America. They ain't give a shit. And that was probably a liberal administration that did that. You could guarantee it. A liberal judge that probably did that. But not all Mexicans are tearing it up. But the fact of the matter is, there weren't a lot of women that were messing with them in Sunset Park when they first started coming in, because a lot of them didn't have money. It's not like they would go into like selling drugs, because they're already, rough ass Puerto Ricans that sell drugs, rough ass Dominicans that sell drugs, rough ass black dudes that sell drugs. So I mean, like, it was very hard for them to come up on some street shit, I guess. But the trouble they were causing more so was, because they had a propensity for drinking, and a lot of women weren't really messing with them. The neighborhood was already packed, so a ton more of them. It only created more of a packed in kind of problem. But no, like, as far as Indians, there's more Indians like where I live than like pouring into New York. But they generally stay out of the way. The one thing that I find a little bit sus is that a lot of Indians like are like fresh off the boat, and they're able to like buy houses and businesses, and maybe they have some source of money, but who knows? But they generally stay out of the way. Chicks ain't fucking with them though like that though. Like like I said earlier, like the same disposition that the newly arrived Mexicans were getting in Sunset Park in the 90s, as far as I never really met chicks that were fucking with Mexican dudes like that. It's the same with the Indian brothers. No shade to them either. But yeah. So hopefully Eric Adams wins this election, and again, Eric Adams has to do it. And I met Eric Adams too, at a fucking party in Sunset Park, my neighborhood. Um, but this is when he was Brooklyn Borough president too. And if I had to give any advice, would be to lean into MAGA all the way, don that red cap, Eric Adams, and coordinate with the White House today on what you could do to get some migration sensation rolling along. Let me move on to my next topic regarding Lord Jamar. And Lord Jamar is a representative of the Internet FBA movement. Again, the Internet FBAs does not mean so-called black people. Not all so-called black people are a part of the FBA movement. Not all so-called black people are part of, especially, the Internet FBA movement. Again, the Internet FBA movement is only for the internets. And Lord Jamal sounds like a person who's only for the internets. No real backbone. And again, like, it just goes to show you, a lot of the Internet FBAs online were haters. The Internet FBA movement was only run on hate. Only running on, like, who we could hate on. It was only run on censoring people. Internet FBAs, the only thing they wanted to get going was either censoring people. Internet FBAs only wanted to hate on people. Internet FBAs only want to talk saucy, but get riled up about any points that you try to make and paint you as a racist. Internet FBAs were a pariah, and thankfully, in 2025, Internet FBAs went out the door. There were channels. There was actually a channel that I went on to. It was called Scoreboard Keepers. The dude would wear like a referee shirt. He was a herb, but he was alright. Like, he actually let me through or let me come through. But they would let everybody and their mother, air out any sort of points. There were dudes there that were like half white, and like they were shitting on like Jamaicans. Dudes that were like half white and that were shitting on Puerto Ricans, which happen to be my countrymen. Dudes that are half white that were shitting on Trinidadians. And again, I mean, like there's a large, especially in New York, West or shitting on all the West Indians. That's internet FBAs. Internet FBAs, as long as you agree to shit on other people, you're down. You're down with the cult. But I mean, they're no longer a cult. Like I said, like there was a channel that I went on through, and they censored me. Every point I would make, you had some bitch yelling at me, or like some I forgot this dude's name, and he's like a conscious speaker too. He was a real cornball though too. Oh, his name was Almighty Hebrew, and I actually like looked him up too, and he actually did a lot of shit like with like legitimate conscious brothers. I mean, and ultimately, I mean, like it's not like every conscious dude is conscious. I mean, like not every dude wearing a dashiki or fucking selling incense is on some spiritual shit. But the dude was like a real herb cornball. I mean, they were trying to like remix that New York City wasn't the home of hip hop. It was just a bunch of convoluted shit, and it's convoluted because it's only run on basically the standard that internet FBAs want to pump, which is basically I'll get to say whatever the hell I want. You could talk here and there as long as you submit. We'll let you keep talking, but if you don't submit, we're gonna be all emotional and like over talking you. Like, that was the energy that all internet FBAs were putting out there. And again, like on that Scoreboard Keepers channel, I would go on there sometimes when this like debate was happening regarding like Fat Joe and like New York City hip hop, whether New York City was actually the home of hip hop, what Puerto Ricans' involvement were in the sport of hip hop. And at that time, me being a Puerto Rican of New York City, and I run in hip hop circles. I mean, I don't gotta put it out there like that because who cares? But I would go on there and try to talk respectfully, and people just outright shitting on you, like half white people at that, calling me a tether, like or like racist shit. And the point I was trying to make when that whole debate was riveted up, and where it was basically outright racism being spewed out, that channel would have on a live stream. Sometimes I saw like 500 people, 600 people. Lately I've been like the last couple times he's gone on any sort to do any sort of content. One, he can't keep touching on this internet FBA, shitting on other nationalities like the West Indians, like Puerto Ricans, like myself, or Jamaicans, because I mean it's not hot no more. But the live streams that I've seen him do in recent history, and I think he hasn't done one in a while, it had like 2 or 3 people. Because again, you can't build shit with just hate. Dudes hating, I mean, hate is an emotion, and all emotions eventually dissipate. And internet FBAs are a bunch of haters through and through and through. The standard of I'm allowed to be racist, but I'm allowed to call out who's a racist is not one that should be accepted among society. Like that's a real like dumb behavior. And honestly, if you're from New York City, a lot of people that were partaking in that debate are supposedly the products of hood New York City. You talk that kind of sauciness, you're gonna get your jaw cracked in most circumstances. Yet these dudes were making up fake histories, how Puerto Ricans were like jacking jacking people's swag, and we were like just some on some victim time. Like I'm telling you from street experience, there were chunks of time where Rikers was run by Puerto Ricans. I mean, and that's nothing to gloat about. It's not like Puerto Ricans are united in most cases like that anyway. And right now, upstate jails were taken over by Dominicans, and that's because they had love for each other in the late '90s when the Trinis had every upstate jail on lock. The deeper you go upstate, the more, like, according to what people have told me. But the internet FBAs, like, I mean, like, it was basically a bunch of internet dudes remixing history of like street shit in New York. Meanwhile, a lot of these people were not from New York, were hearing stories from haters, or from crackheads that are trying to remix history. It was a bunch of BS. And I mean, needless to say, I don't have to take a victory lap about any of that stuff because the internet FBAs, in essence, have died. Like that movement is no more. And I predicted that too. I said that that shit wasn't going to last to the end of 2025. I actually have content saying just that. But it has died because the when people are being emotional, they let cornballs like Lord Jamar talk spicy and they co-sign them, you know, because they just want to see some chaos, or they just want to be spicy too, or put a battery on somebody's back. See, but Lord Jamal, I'm not like, and I don't want no harm to come to Lord Jamal, but I guarantee you, in some sort of kinetic situation in New York City or anywhere, that Lord Jamal is gonna get his shit tapped up by some Puerto Rican over that whole debate. But Lord Jamal, preceding that, when he was actually putting himself on business for a internet FBA cause, was his protest of going on to the widely publicized YouTube content creator Vlad TV. I've never watched a full episode of Vlad TV ever in my life. If I've seen anything from Vlad TV, it's clippings, but I already know what it is. Like, Vlad TV is the standard bearer for internet FBA types, like basically how you should be, or what they feel is like being manly, I guess. I don't know. But according to that comedian Godfrey and Lord Jamal, Vlad TV had misquoted or spoke negatively about Elijah Muhammad or Farrakhan, one of the two, I don't know. And Lord Jamal is a God body, I believe, which is Nations of Gods and Earth, which is like a offshoot of the Nation of Islam in a sense. But in New York City, it's more like a street movement / religion. And it's not deep like that. I mean, it is very deep, but it's not like there's I know they had a headquarters on 125th, but it's more in the early days when I would hear of it, it was like a jail kind of movement. And then a lot of those people who kind of found knowledge of self, most of them were black. There are a lot of Puerto Ricans that were 5%ers, God bodies, and who found knowledge of self through that. And their kids or their offspring always had that knowledge of self for generations to come. Like they wouldn't eat pork. Like the first person, I don't eat pork myself, and the person that put me onto that was actually a God body, as to why I shouldn't be, and I still don't to this day. So it was a street movement, but Lord Jamal also was a part of that as well, and he frowned upon the fact that Vlad had on his platform and YouTube talked negatively about Elijah Muhammad or Minister Farrakhan. I don't know. I don't care either. I don't watch none of the shows. But he boycotted, along with Godfrey, being a contributor to the Vlad TV show. I think they were like contributors, one of like 6. And years later, I think 2 years later, he has since ended his boycott, and he's no longer standing on business, and he now went back to Vlad TV. I ain't listened to the shit. I don't got not much to hear from. I mean, I don't got much. It's not like I check for Lord Jamal ever. Lord Jamal's a bird. Lord Jamal is a straight up bird, and I loved Brand Nubian when I was young. Lord Jamal was the Aquaman of Brand Nubian, and Sadat X I think is Dominican too. I mean, this dude was shitting on all kinds of Caribbeans as tethers, and if I remember correctly, Lord Jamal was part Dominican from a lyric, if I remember correct. Oh, peace to Bruce Gas, man. What's up, boys? What's up to you, my brother? But again, I mean, when you're being a hater, you're you're willing to jump out the window and be all emotional, and Lord Jamar was doing does that. But again, emotional dudes will make it seem as if they stand on something. Like they'll repeat the same shit over and over, and they'll put a reason as to why they have to sell out, and normally it's monetary. And that was the reason Lord Jamal apparently gave for going back onto Vlad TV. Basically had to do with his finances. The dude's a herb. The dude's a straight up herb. Most internet FBAs don't stand for shit either. Most internet FBAs shit on the guy who came up with the term FBA, Tariq Nasheed, another dude I don't check for. Emotional ass dudes, like nothing, like ain't about shit, like not willing to build nothing. It's basically calling out other people and don't accomplish shit myself. I don't accomplish shit because some next dude is the spirit of the internet FBAs. And like I said, quote me on this right now. I mean, it's not like they're making a resurgence, but internet FBAs. Again, and if you claim FBA as just some regular standard so-called black dude, no, this is not applicable to you. I'm talking about internet FBAs, dudes that be repping NFBA on the internet, who are probably from Iowa or some shit, who were not raised around black people in real life, who never went to one hood in their real life, who never chilled in their hood in their real life, um, who have issues as far as their identity because their mom, while she was in college, spread their legs for some black dude, and now they were raised as an outcast in the Midwest somewhere and want to be ultra black online. That's what I consider internet FBAs. No, not all black so-called black people are FBAs, and definitely not all so-called black people, including the ones on the internet, are of internet FBAs. Internet FBAs are just the cult of haters, and they're out the door. But like I said, going back to my bet, internet FBAs will no longer be a thing by the end of 2025. I said that before 2025 even started, I believe, and I'll still stand on that one. Let me get to my last topic, and that's Trump's attendance at the NATO meetings today. Not much was said. The highlight of the evening was basically Trump's press conference, um, which he had a press conference for an hour and he dipped. Um, Again, I mean, it's just good to see a president, unlike Biden, who is willing to stand in front of cameras in a not coordinated press conference and is able to be succinct with his messaging and clear with what he wants. And also giving the spirit or the impression that I'm the American in the room and I'm the most important person in the room, and what I say goes. And that's what America's relationship with NATO should be, being that we finance most of NATO. The one big thing is that the European countries are going to finance more of NATO. I think 5% of their GDP is going to go into NATO with an agreement that Trump made with them. I think before it was like 2 or 3% of their GDP. He called out Spain because they don't want to contribute to NATO, which is great because all of Europe should contribute to NATO. America should contribute far less to NATO. Um, I think Trump has come back to America since that meeting with the NATO countries, which happened in the Netherlands. There was something else that came out of that as well. That was it though. I mean, like, if I'll remember, if anything else pops up though, I'll gladly come back on. I don't know if I'm gonna do 2 streams today. We'll see. Yesterday I was faded from this New York City heat, and I still did 2 streams. So please do help me grow this channel. I'll commit to coming on here way more frequently. And these are perilous times. Again, everything feels way more pressurized in the world we're living in now. And I'm gonna be here and navigate along with you. I know these are tough times, again, but if listening to this channel as some sort of white noise is any sort of help to get through an hour of your day, I mean, I'll gladly be that dude. Um, but do help me grow this channel by liking, sharing, subscribing. But with that, I want to thank you for stepping into the Foul Playland with me. As always, I am Sir Foul Player of Brooklyn. Have a good night. Peace. I'm done, love.